Welcome, dearest colleagues, to African Media, the biggest media platform for all things Eyecare on the African continent. I'm your host, Obi Malope, all the way from South Africa, the motherland. And today is the launch of our new series here on African Media called Eyecare Beyond Borders. And what better way to kickstart things off than with my good old friend, Mr. Dabri Combrink, who's out in India, but is a South African optometrist. And so, what a privilege and an honor it is to have you on the platform, Dabri.
Obi, thanks to you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, and it's such a blessing to be able to see you again, to speak to you. It's been such a long time. And Obi, you've been an inspiration to me and so many. So thanks for inviting me. I think I should ask you the questions, not
You're too kind. You're too kind. You're too kind, man. We have not seen each other for over a decade.
Yeah.
But we come from the same university out in Free State where we did our optometry. How did your journey in Eyecare begin, Dabri?
Yes, good question. I remember when I was grade 12, didn't know really what to do. Did a few research things. I went to, I think, what do you call those psychologists that do the educational psychology things?
Yes.
She gave me like 3 options, and one of them was optometry. And at that stage, I didn't know what it was at all. So I did some research, and I just was just so interested about it, I was just really interested to read more about it. And then I just got a liking in eyes. And I prayed about it, and I felt God is really leading me into this profession. And since then, I've never looked back. I really love it. I think it's such a passion. Yeah, it has become such a passion. Yes. So thanks to
What
that.
did you love?
Yes.
What do you love the most about optometry, though?
Good question.
Because you started years ago. Has your love for Eyecare evolved?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
And if so, how?
Yes, I think to answer your first question, the love for Eyecare specifically, I think just being exposed to lots of people. But I think for me personally, my personality, I love building relationship with people. I love people, and I think that's one of the first facts that drew me to optometry, just because we get to spend time with people a lot. And not just that, I remember at university we had to do psychology, and I never understood why we need to do that.
Now you
But
do.
now I do. I think so many people, I mean, you're sitting alone with a patient in a room. You don't just talk about eyes, but people start to talk about their own personal lives. And I think, it's such a special place to be able to connect with people in different levels. And sometimes some of those patients turn into friendship relationships. So I'm so grateful for that. And I think it's because of my personality. I just love people. I love working with people. So I think that really drew me to that. And how I grew in that is specifically, I think, as I just started learning more, seeing that optometry is not just 1, 2, 1, 2, but there's so much more about it, and there's so many aspects of it. I mean, you can specialize in so many different things. And after that, it just felt to me like my world opening up, and I could explore more and actually go after what I like in optometry, because there's so many aspects.
Where did your Eyecare journey begin, though?
So after my studies, I got a job in Stellenbosch, a really good practice. Really, so that kicked off, I think, my love specifically for pediatrics and Binoc. I never thought at university that I would love that, but being exposed to that environment really helped me. My boss at that stage, he exposed me to really amazing opportunities. A very wise guy that I really learned a lot from. I got to travel to the US and to Canada for some extra postgrad courses that really exposed me to different people and to different views as well, and how we approach Eyecare. And so it's not just like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps to go through an eye test, but there's so much more. So I'm so grateful for that. So that's where I started off in Stellenbosch. I was there for about 6.5, 7 years. So that was my first exposure to really good optometry, and I think that specifically gave me a love just for just to dig deeper into optometry, specifically with pediatrics, binoc, vision therapy, and sports vision.
Wow. And then after you spent that 6 years, what happened then after that?
Yes, yes. So then we actually felt led to move to Port Elizabeth. I mean, it's in the Eastern Cape, more of a rural setting. So I worked in a practice that mostly catered for lower income patients. So going from Stellenbosch with lots of lots of money, going to a practice where there's, I mean, we served a different community. Obi, I was so grateful for that. I think that
Wow.
opened up my eye for the needs out there, and that there's lots of people that really struggle to actually get good healthcare, and lots of people don't have access to good healthcare. So I think that started stirring something in my heart to be able to not just stop there, and then that I think stirred up something to move to India.
Wow, and that brings us to our series topic, basically eye care beyond borders.
Yes, yes.
uh, what are you doing in India, man?
Yes. So I think, I mean, South Africa is an amazing country. I didn't leave South Africa because I want to make more money or want to go overseas. I'm not here for the money. In fact, I'm not getting paid here. So I'm just a volunteer in a hospital here. So, but a few years ago, I visited here. I visited friends that's doctors in the hospital that I'm working at. And there's no eye care from in this region that we are living
Wow,
in. So we stay in
wow.
the northern parts of India, in the Himalayas. There's no access to eye care in this whole area. The closest, I want to say, ophthalmologist is about 3 hours drive from here.
Ooh,
That's the closest from us. So the people that we're working in most of these northern communities, sometimes it takes me 3 days to get there. And the first exposure to this area, I just realized there's such a big need. I mean, I love South Africa, but there's lots of practice, and people do have access to eye care if it's in a government hospital, if it's practices all over the country or in cities, and there's lots of people doing rural eye clinics. But over here, there's nothing,
wow.
and that's why me and my wife we decided let's do it for 1 or 2 years, and let's go and just serve the people of India, and then we just started loving the people of India and the country. So we
Wow.
are now permanently based here, and our vision is long term to serve the people here.
Wow. And I've seen you've got your whole family's there. You've got
Yes.
beautiful kids, man, and they're still very young, and you literally are building a life that side. How fantastic and how wonderful that is.
Yes, I think initially, I mean, thinking of bringing a child to India or children to India was initially scary and lots of fears in our heart. What about a lot of things? But I think it's the best decision that we've ever made. I think
Wow.
exposing them to a different culture, different language. I mean, initially, I mean, language was a struggle. 90% of my patients, or 95, is Hindi speaking, so we had to learn a new language, new cultural things, new food. I think that was a big thing. You can't just go down to the market, local market, and get what you like. So we had to adjust diets, language. I mean, lots of things. But I think being able to expose our children to a people group where we're currently working, we feel it really develops, and for us as well as adults, I think just a compassion for people that um, don't have a lot in different ways, and specifically speaking about access to healthcare. So we're really grateful that we took this step.
Wow.
But
Wow.
it's also for us personally. And as I said, it wasn't for the money. It wasn't because we don't like South Africa or anything. Um, it's just we felt the call to come and serve the people that doesn't have any access to any healthcare.
Wow, man. That is so inspirational. What is? I mean, I'm just thinking about you're up in the mountains, basically.
Yeah,
The traveling dynamics. I think people sometimes see your pictures on LinkedIn, and I think they're thinking to themselves, how what kind of optometry is this guy doing that has got him traveling for so many days just to go and see people and test their eyes? Because I can imagine, number one, when you eventually get to see patients, you're seeing patients that present with unconventional eye care problems. Because I
Yes.
could imagine your experience of having worked in the Eastern Cape, the go-go's that you were probably seeing there, who were coming from extremely disadvantaged backgrounds, they would present with clinical um,
Condition.
conditions that are
Yes,
out
yes,
of the norm that you would see in the city.
yes, yes.
So now, if you're seeing that and there's a communication challenge, how are you navigating through that, especially in the early days? Because I think you left me a voice note earlier, and in the first note, there was people walking in the past you, and I heard you speaking the
Hindi.
local language there. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is so super cool. So in the early years when you were there, how did you navigate seeing all these clinical conditions and dealing with the environmental conditions that you are faced with in terms of traveling to certain places for long and then having to then communicate? Were there translators? How did that process work?
That was I think one of the toughest things. I think first of all, just looking at the terrain, we live at about 2,500 meters above sea level. So initially, I mean, just adjusting to the altitude, walking because we're mostly walking. We do have a scooter. They call it a scooter here. But traveling to the villages, most of the time, it's actually just very, very rural, very mountainous areas where we physically, we take a jeep to get there. So then
Wow.
it can take 2 to 3 hours to get to villages. That's just some of the closest villages. So I think first of all, just getting there with all our equipment. I mean, first of all, that's a challenge. And then if you get somewhere, there could be 50 patients, there could be 100, there could be one because there's a wedding in the village or there's a festival, then no one pitches, or you only see one patient and it took you 8 hours driving to there and back. So I think initially sometimes it was discouraging, but then we felt, you know what? I mean, even changing one person's life can literally change a whole family and their generations to come. So I think that looking at that, I mean, the terrain initially was quite tough, but we've adjusted quite well. We had to change our diet. We had to eat healthier. We had to actually get more fit, so that we can go out into the mountains and not be tired. So that so I think since we moved here, I lost 27 kgs, so that we can actually adjust to the environment. So that was quite interesting. I'm grateful for that. And then with regards to the language, yes. So initially, I mean, I couldn't speak Hindi, so we started with Hindi language training at a local language school. But then the hospital was so gracious, they appointed a lady that can assist me in helping doing translating, but she can't speak English. She can only understand English. So so with my, at that stage, just minimum Hindi, yeah, I don't know how it worked, but it still works amazingly. We can communicate well. And sometimes if people just speak too fast, she will just break it down in a simpler Hindi for me. So we're currently also still continuing learning Hindi. We definitely a little bit better. My wife is really amazing. I think she's really
Wow.
blessed with languages. So I'm still learning. The kids are learning. So initially, with the language was a barrier, and sometimes still. So even going up into these smaller little villages, the Hindi, the dialects changes, and then they still don't understand. So then we just make it work.
Wow, wow, Dabri, that is absolutely fantastic, man. What are some of the unconventional conditions that you have come across in terms of visual problems that you had never seen in South Africa, for example?
I think it's maybe not things that I haven't seen in South Africa, but more of the amount of things that I see over here.
Okay.
Um, if we look at global blindness, we read about, I mean, cataracts, refraction, maybe trachoma, and things like that. I think in South Africa, I can't remember if I've seen a lot of trachoma or things like that. I mean, you see lots of refraction, cataracts, and things like that, and a little bit eye diseases and conditions. But over here, we see lots of, because it's so mountainous, and people, I mean, if they pick their fruits in the mountains or if they fall somewhere or fall out of trees, they have lots of eye injuries. So because they can't get to any clinics or hospitals, they just leave it. So so we see lots of corneal, I want to say just corneal problems with regards to trauma, blunt trauma. So I want to say I see a lot of that, and then trachoma, just overall hygiene. Over here, because it's so cold, I mean, overall, even us, if I must confess, you don't take a bath every day anymore.
Yeah.
Initially, it's like, I'm not going to say that to everyone, but I mean, they're so accustomed to it. And yeah, it's just it's really cold. So the people over here, I mean, overall hygiene up in the mountains, I mean, it's not top priority. So, and it's just so cold. So overall hygiene, and I mean, the way they make food, they make it in their houses,
Wow.
with fire inside the house. They will make fire
Inside the
inside.
house. Wow.
Not a different oven or something, but it's. So I've tried sitting in some of these villages in these kitchens, and my eyes are just pouring with tears, and they've grown so used to it. But just looking at the health of their corneas, it's really, yeah, it's something really interesting. And then lastly, I think the altitude. So I've never seen so many dry eyes in kids,
Wow.
and corneas are super dry. I think I should do a study on that. So whoever's listening to that, please don't steal my idea. um, I've kids over here, just I think because of the altitude and the dry air and everything, and I mean the conditions that they live in, lots of them have super dry eyes and the corneas are really infected, so keratitis and things like that, and severe allergies. So yeah, so I mean there are a few things that we see. I don't want to say it's a lot different from what I saw in South Africa, but it's definitely much more,
More.
just because people can't get the access. So by the time that we see them, it's already almost too late.
How difficult is it to manage, to firstly not manage, but to actually identify patient needs when it comes to their vision? And then how difficult is it to manage those needs? And
Yes.
then how does that work with you guys?
Yes, I think first of all, the first part of the question, lots of people, because they've grown so accustomed to how they see, they actually don't want help. They're perfectly okay with how they see, um, and wearing glasses is just an extra nuisance, especially if they work in the fields. They're constantly working. The children working in the fields. Lots of these children that don't go to school, yeah, I mean that's their life. They have a small little um, they call it sabji wala, a small veggie market, and that's their life. So they don't necessarily want 6/6 vision. If they can have 6/24 vision, they're perfectly fine with it. And they'll only anyway wear their glasses if they really need it. And some of them they just never use it. So I think that was originally was a quite an adjustment for me to not help getting people to 6/6. Or I want to help them, but they don't really feel the need to do that or to have that perfect vision. And then secondly, um, to be able to help them, and I mean especially with conditions, I've developed a good relationship with one ophthalmologist about 3 hours drive from us. So in cases where these patients they can't reach her, they can't even come to our hospital, we'll telephonically we'll discuss things. I'll take videos, I'll take photos, and
Wow.
then the amazing part is we have trained about 20, let's say 20 to 25 healthcare workers in these villages. So we work around in among 70 villages. So we've given these healthcare workers, they're just local people. They don't have any degrees or anything. So we train them in medical things like from this eye screening and things like that. So if I see a patient with some problem with an eye infection or something, we'll communicate with them to give us updates, because I can't go every week as well. It's just too far. And I can't reach all 70 villages even in 1 year, just because it's
Sure.
so dispersed. Yeah, so we have trained amazing healthcare workers that are really committed, that stay in these villages. So they come to our center up in the village in the mountain, We give them some training, and then they go out back home into their villages, and most of them are then they look after 2 or 3 villages, so they then follow up most of these patients.
Flip, man, that's that is so super fascinating. I'm super like my mind is just running wild now, thinking how in the world is we don't realize sometimes how privileged and we are in when it comes to what's available, and there are people that are living a completely different life, and they're comfortable in that life, and they have zero awareness of what you are exposed to, and how to manage those dynamics is very, very interesting. Now, the glasses, are you working with the well-known international suppliers, or are they local suppliers? The making of the glasses. Now, here's a person that you've seen. They are like a -6. You've gotten them to a 6'9", 6'12", and they're comfortable because they didn't realize that they were only seeing 660 without glasses, and now they're seeing 612 with glasses, and they are -6. How does the process work in terms of getting glasses to them?
Yes, that's a good question. So currently we're still in the process to make that process smoother. So currently what we're doing, we will go out, I will give them a prescription, and there's a local guy. So over here it works a bit different. Most Indian families, whatever they grew up with, whatever trade they grew up with, if it's a chai wala, like someone that makes tea, or someone that sells veggies, the rest of the family, they will follow in the footsteps of that family trade. So probably 100 or a few decades ago, lots of families actually started like optical shops that makes lenses or cuts lenses and provides people with, they're not necessarily trained or have any qualifications. So there's one close by to where we stay. So so I've built a good relationship with those people. So we get a lot of...
Dabri, we just had an interruption there. You were saying lots of people have started optical shops. Can you just pick it up from there?
Yes. I think a few decades ago, a lot of Indian families have started optical shops. So optometry is not regulated in India yet. So currently there is a few committees that's starting with that. So there's lots of families that throughout the generations have taken over optical shops. So there's a few optical shops in every city. Just like there's chemists or pharmacists and things like that in every city, not necessarily qualified. So we have a local guy that I've really built good relationship with, that supply us with things. So we will either send patients there, or we're still in the process to try to get someone that can actually send us, if we send them a prescription, they'll send us the glasses. So that's still, a new thing, a process for us that took almost 2 years to get to the point where we now to get good connections. Wow. And actually someone that will send things up here. So I spoke to someone about 2 weeks ago, just with regards to contact lenses, and they just said, sorry, you're not a serviceable area. Nothing can reach your place. That makes it difficult. So after 2 years, we've connected with, and we're still currently in talks with one company that might be able to, if we send them a prescription from whichever village, they'll send it to us into like a certain hub or one of our centers, and then our healthcare workers can distribute it. So that's still an ongoing process.
Wow. And so with the current setup, once a person got the prescription, they go to the local guy, gets glasses there. You have not reached the stage where there's now follow-up, or where you now know how this person now sees with their glasses. And if now they drop their glasses and they fall, and the lenses crack or scratch, what's the process then involved in that?
Yes. So the follow-ups, yes. So just because there's so many, I can't reach everyone. I can't have follow-ups for everyone. So currently it's just me in the eye clinic. I'm trying for more people and my assistant. So we're trusting definitely for more. We in the process also of establishing a new platform to be able to make things easier and to reach more people. But with regards to your follow-ups, some of the people, with severe cases, our center would actually get a jeep, go and fetch them, bring them to wherever I am, and then I'll give them checkups. But that's really, I mean, it's really difficult. So currently, there's not as enough follow-ups as I would like it to be. People that stay in our current little town that we're staying now, I mean, yeah, we could do regular follow-ups, but in the mountains, it's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, we're working on a process, and what I've learned is I think sometimes I get frustrated with why things are so slow. But I trust that, and I know that just putting the right process into place, we're going to see the fruit in maybe the next few years. And implementing these things, we'll be able to reach more people and then to do better follow-ups. And also trusting for more staff or volunteers. So on this platform, if you feel called to India, we need you. Even if it's short, I mean short term.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Dabri, what are the needs, man? If you have to summarize like the critical needs right now that you say, you know what, before the end of 2023, we need the following in order to fast track the work that we do here. If worst case scenario, we know that if we don't get everything of what we're looking for, and
Yes,
we just need to get these things in place before the end of the year. What are those things?
yes,
Because there
yes,
could be someone, like you say, someone would be watching here and be in a position to do something about giving you the assistance that you need.
yes, yes, yes. I think first of all, I mean, we will always need more hands. Even I think, I mean, not everybody would have the opportunity to be able to live here long term. I mean, that's my first prize. I just try to recruit people long term. But I mean, having little impact with, or having a big impact with, like short term people coming here for maybe a week or 2 or 4 weeks. I mean, we could reach more people. So I think that first of all is just more hands. So if people feel just to come and serve here for a few weeks or days, I mean, we're always open to that. We can organize all the visas and things like that to be able for people to come and serve here, or volunteer here. Long term, we establish a long term, I mean, that would be really great, because then we can really establish and have a good foundation that we can work from. And then
Yeah.
second, instruments. I mean, finances. We always need finances. I think the amazing part is, about a year and a half ago, we had an Indian family from the US that actually sponsored portable non-contact tonometer, fundus camera, autorefractors, so that we can actually, take these things up, pack it on a donkey, and go into the mountains. But we definitely need more, I mean, instruments to be able to just make things smoother. So, like for instance, I had 2 trial frames, and the 2 trial frames broke in the last month, and I can't get another trial frame for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So, I mean, just trying to work, yeah, I mean, with things like that. So we always need instruments and things like that. But we're already grateful for what we have. I think life is already much easier with the portable equipment that we do have. So manpower and definitely some extra finances, because I'm a volunteer. There's no cash flow. I mean, there's no income that we get throughout our eye services.
I have to ask you, man, doing the kind of work that you do, you have to have a lot of compassion, like a lot of compassion, like especially when, like you say, it's not like you're earning thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be able
Yeah.
to do the work that you're doing. So you have to really have compassion on your heart. So how did you get the buy-in of your family? Because
Yeah.
that for me sounds like that would have been a tough one. Like, how did you get the buy-in of your family to say, guys,
Yes.
this is where I'm going, this is what we're doing, and we're going to be doing it for a very long time, if God
Yes.
willing. How did
Yeah.
that work, man?
Yeah. I think first of all, just to that first part of your question about compassion, I think it wasn't always there.
Okay.
I think exposing myself or positioning myself in an environment where I saw the need created the compassion. I
Wow.
think if I stayed in an environment where there wasn't that massive need, I would probably have never known. Or I would have known about it, but it wouldn't have had the compassion. So I think, and as we stepped into this, I mean, into India, the compassion just grew more and more and more. And with the same with my family, and especially my wife. So I think in 2014, 15, we came to India. We traveled a few parts in India, the whole of Nepal. So my wife was already exposed to this area as well. So I think she already also developed a compassion for and a love for the people.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, I think that was first of all just exposing ourselves and positioning ourselves where the need is. I think a great yeah, I was just thinking now on this topic. So my wife is an OT. She works with children with cerebral palsy. So
Wow.
the other day she took our three boys with and to go and spend a day with all the CP children and play with them, do games with them. And our heart is also to be able to expose them to people that really need and that really needs access to good healthcare. And yeah, we're trusting that in the same way as we expose them to that, that they will also develop a love and compassion for people that in India. So I'm so grateful for my wife. She's very adventurous. She's very
Wow.
adaptable. I think speaking about leadership, for me, I think there's two things that's really makes a leader really powerful is adaptability. I mean, being
Yeah.
able to move to a different culture, country, language, different food, and being able to survive there, and not just to survive, but to actually thrive there. Adaptability as a leader, I think it's crucial. And secondly, is consistency. Even in where we now is, most of the people would ask us if I ask them, yeah, I need to see you in 1 month, I need to see you in 2 weeks. So the first question is, will you still be here? And consistency for the people here, they need to trust you and
Yeah.
say, you know what, I trust you as my eye doctor. I need to put my faith in you. I want you to be here when I'm coming back. So my wife, yeah. So I'm really grateful for her leadership with abilities just to adapt, to be consistent. And I think it wasn't necessarily anything that I did. Um, but I think the exposure to the needs over here developed the compassion in her heart. And for the rest of our family, I mean, the rest of the wider family, like mother, father, sisters, um, some of them have also been in India. So they love the country, and that's why they support us as well.
Wow. Wow. Um, what inspires you, man?
What inspires me?
Yeah.
Keep
What keeps you? I understand the
going.
compassion part and identifying the
Yes.
needs, but what inspires you? Where you like, you know what? I'm operating here now, but where I want to operate is there. This is where
Yes.
I'm going. What really challenges you or motivates you to want to do more?
Yes. Is that one case, eh? That one case that literally, if I, the other day I had a little boy, when I put on the glasses on the trial frame, there was the biggest smile. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and I mean, you don't always get that. And sometimes you can't help someone. I mean, sometimes the condition is just so bad you can't help. But I think it's those cases that if you reach the smallest little village and that old auntie is just so excited to see you and so grateful and you can help her. So a while ago, I think I posted on LinkedIn, I had a small an old lady that was reading. She loves reading. She had this small little magnifying lens that she had literally reading. I mean, it was so scratched, so small. I don't even know how she saw through it. And I mean, being able to help her, I mean, that just made my whole year.
Wow.
If I only did, yeah, I mean, if I could only help her, yeah, that just really blessed me. So those small little moments, Obi, that where you can help someone that really to helps them to improve their life, and especially small school children that really struggles in school to be able to see how they improve in their schoolwork. Um, that yeah, that really moves me and really motivates me to reach more of these people that needs help.
Wow. Wow. And you literally, I just realized like you've built this from the ground up. There was nothing.
Yes, it
There
was
was literally
nothing.
nothing. Like nothing. And like you literally started this from absolutely nothing and put
Yes.
systems in place. And it's like I'm hearing now that some things that sound like if you're in South Africa or Nigeria or Egypt or Morocco, if you needed something, you're thinking, or America or London, wherever, if you're in a city, you're thinking, I need this, I can sort it out in a week. And you telling me there's certain things that sound like this should have been sorted out like in a day or two. It takes
Yes.
you 2 years. What are some of, like, don't you get frustrated with how long the process is? Doesn't that frustrate you though
Yes.
at times?
Yes, no, definitely. I think, I mean, we started off, I only had a trial case on the plane here. That's what I had in the beginning. And throughout the process, we had to purchase a few things. But things definitely frustrates me. I think I've learned to really grow in patience. Like for instance, this trial frame that is broken now. To wait 4 to 6 weeks for something small initially, just getting fluorescein strips takes months. Getting a contact lens can take me like I think 6 months. Um, so
Sure.
small little things like that. Yeah, I think initially, I think that's what the beauty is of marriage. I can go home and I can share with my wife all my feelings and frustrations and work through these things. So marriage is a great thing for all the single people out there. Get married. That's a beautiful thing. Um, it really helps. So, but yeah, I think I've really came to a place where I just really trust and be at peace that things will work out. There's a saying in Hindi or in India where people will just say things will work out. I mean, don't worry. And initially that was just for me. No, 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 because my personality, I like planning. Things needs to be structured. I have I work like there's certain dates that I need to finish things, but over here I had to let go. And in this past week, I had to let go of things that, okay, I need to just be at peace and have patience. So I'm still growing, um, like all of
Wow.
us, growing every day.
Wow, man. You're such an inspiration, bro. You have no idea.
Okay, I'm still growing, eh?
Do you? I can imagine there are more countries or or areas that have similar challenges to where you are at. Um, and I'm getting the sense that people need to travel and be exposed, and it
Yes.
will be through traveling and exposure, especially to remote areas where you'll get to identify that wow, there's no eye care here at all,
Yeah.
and it can create opportunities like that because, like you're saying earlier, had you not traveled and especially traveling to those remote areas, you wouldn't have been aware that
Yes.
there are opportunities like this or there are needs like this, and because there's the need, this is how you can create solutions, and eventually it leads to an opportunity where you would have started it from scratch, but for the next person that comes to work with you, it's now an opportunity for them. So I
Yeah.
think you have highlighted so many important aspects and elements about just we should step out of our comfort zones.
Yes. Yes. I agree with you. I think I want to just add on with what you said. I actually want to encourage, I mean, whoever's watching, and if you're in a private practice or if you're still a student, or like lecturers, universities, to really, yeah, give students the opportunity as a student, take the opportunity in a holiday or if you're in a private practice, take some time off and go and explore, yeah, this, I mean, fields out of your own sphere of life and your own practice. Exposing us really opens up our eyes just to so many different things. And I mean, if we look at the eyes, not just diseases and things like that, but actually just looking at life just completely different and actually doing a simple test. I test differently just because what you've seen out there. Um, yeah, so I want to encourage whoever's watching, take a week off, take a month off, take 6 months or a year off, and go and expose not just you, but take your family with. It is possible. I always thought, oh, how is that going to be possible? But it is possible. Especially if you have people that really that buys into the vision. Yes, I think just lastly, initially for us moving here, we thought, how are we going to live if we don't receive a salary? I mean,
Yeah.
that's going to be quite hectic. So people that friends and family of us that's been in India that loves it, that loves this, our vision, that wants to support us, really has bought into our vision, and they're supporting us financially. So sisters, friends, brothers, I mean, our family, they're supporting us. So we're so grateful for them. So we do need those people that stays behind, and that really works hard and that gives hard money. So we really need that. And I want to, yeah, if you have a, when I say, if people have a private practice and they don't necessarily have the time to go, but I want to, I want to encourage you to partner with someone that you can support financially, or if it's maybe sending frames or whatever is necessary, to be able to reach out to those people that really has a need. And India has just surpassed China with the biggest population, so there's a big need here. We
Wow.
need the help.
How easy it is to work with other optometrists from India? Because
Yes.
you are out in Nepal or in the Himalayas there, but how easy it is to work with other optometrists and trying to get them on board, or you have not gotten to that stage yet because there's so many aspects of what you're already busy trying to set up that you have not gotten to a stage where you're now saying, okay, I'm going to go to Hildebrand and get people and try and partner with optometrists from there. How difficult or easy it is in your current setup?
Yeah, so currently, so I went to an optometry congress in the end of last year that really, I mean, widened my sphere of just connections in connection with the optometry world in India. So I've made a really good connections there. I think the terrain here is really tough. We've had, I mean, different people from different countries, physios, OTs coming here to come and almost scout and to see if they will be able to live here. And I want to say 1% of those people would actually say to us, you know what, we'll come back, we'll come and help. Most of them just can't adapt to the environment and the terrain. And most of the Indian optometrists that I've spoken to as well, I think most young optometrists, and if I look at myself, I was there as well. You move to the cities and you live there, and you start, if your first salary comes in, it just becomes a run after more and more and more, and later on it's like keeping up with the Joneses.
True.
I think I've seen that over here. Now, I mean, it's not everywhere in India. I mean, I've met really amazing optometrists that's really doing really amazing work. There's one optometry or hospital, Shroff's Eye Hospital. They're doing really amazing community work. I visited them. So I'm currently now trying to work with them actually to implement the program over here. And they're very willing. They want to help. So the optometry community is really, really amazing.
Wow.
And the education here is really good as well. I was really impressed at this conference. So they're really open to take hands and to build relationships and to help us over here. But I think with younger optometry people just finishing, I think most of us we go first into private practice and want to receive that first salary, and that's okay. I mean, all of us grow. But I think for us, we just felt we just started keeping up with the Joneses. We had to do something different and go after where the need is. Yeah.
Wow. Dabri, this has been such an explosive start of the Eyecare Beyond Borders series, where we're
Thank you.
featuring different optometrists and ophthalmologists who are from the continent of Africa, but
Wow.
are working outside of the continent, doing
Wow.
amazing work like yourself. And so I'm worried now that when people watch this, they're not going to want to come onto the platform because you've set the bar so high.
No. I was just thinking. I just thought you're gonna say after watching this, all of them was gonna move to India. I would love that. We need the help. Leave South Africa or leave Africa.
No, people are going to be, you'll be surprised. I think that people that are going to reach out to you will share your details in terms of how they can reach out to you.
Yes,
And
yes.
from the different parts of the continent. You're going to have people from Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya reaching out to you to say, "Hey,
great.
I watched your interview on Africa Media, and we would love to come and assist and see if we can be able to contribute in whichever way." So thank you so much, man.
You're also welcome, eh? Bring your
Yes,
wife.
yes. We'll
I'll keep
talk.
you here. I'm a good
We'll
recruiter.
talk. I'll come with my wife, and we'll come and stay. We'll come and stay there, man.
In the mountains, second honeymoon.
Man, thank you so much.
Thanks, Abby.
This has been an absolute honor and a privilege to connect with you on this platform. Everyone, if you're not yet connected to iAfrica Media, please make sure to do so. Check out our series, Eyecare Beyond Borders, as we're going to be connecting with amazing leaders like Dabri as well. Phenomenal leader doing exceptional work. Check out his details in the link that we're going to be sharing and connect with him, see how you can help. We are more than better with one or two. The world out there needs us as clinicians to really step up and literally go into areas that don't have access to facilities that people in the cities have. So stay connected to the platform, connect with us on the different social media platforms, and watch out for this series. I think you're going to be amazed at the kind of work that other eyecare leaders from the continent are doing in other parts of the world, carrying the African flag very high, doing amazing work. Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, Obi.
It's a pleasure, bud.
Such a blessing, and thanks for the invite.